Well, thank you. Thank you, Dudley, our undersecretary, who probably had no idea what he was getting into when he signed on to be on our team a year ago, but in the best way, his leadership. And he mentioned, I want to recognize Admiral Michael Schmoyer, who's our lead on this in uniform behind me. He'll answer any questions the press may have on the technical side of this. But the team has been remarkable, and it has been a 7-day-a-week, maybe 20-hour-a-day effort since I was sworn in last February 13th, almost a year ago, later this week. And so I'm so grateful to our incredible team at USDA. It's good to be back here. This is my third trip within the year back here to South Texas, talking about this issue and what needs to happen to do everything we can and continue to update, encourage to take your feedback and to work together. I'm going to officially introduce our incredible governor, but just a quick note at the top before I get into more specifics on what we're doing today. I can't imagine a better partner. I work with all the governors across the country, both red and blue, screwworm, high path in our birds, our chickens, all of our animal diseases. It knows no party. It's not Republican or Democrat. I mean, it really is an all hands on deck to protect our farmers and our ranchers across the country. And we obviously work way across party lines, but there is no one that is more committed, more focused, and more of a warrior for the farmers and ranchers of their state than your governor is. And it's just a joy to be back here with him, and I'm so grateful to him. As we continue to, as I mentioned, every day, finalize the plans, update the plans are constantly moving so that we too can be as flexible as possible. I am really, really proud of where we are today. When I came back, when I was here earlier this spring, all of the models showed that the screwworm would be on our side of the border by last fall, by last September. And I believe it's a real testament to the all hands on deck, federal, state, and local, that the fact that we do not have the pest in our country yet. So I just want to say I'm very grateful to that. And the opening today of the dispersal facility is the next step. Very quickly, the governor and I just finished a roundtable with some amazing citrus farmers and row crop farmers talking about the water issues we have with Mexico. I know several of them came over here to talk about that, but for our press, especially the press that wasn't with us in the last meeting, just want to do a quick note and say that we're making so much progress on the water for this part of our country and under the 1944 Water Treaty. And I'm grateful to the president for making it such a priority for him. I'm not sure there's ever been an Oval Office of any White House, especially a White House where you've got a New York real estate guy in it that has known more or been more focused on South Texas farmers and ranchers than this president has. So I just want to give a big shout out to my boss, President Trump. But as you all know, the main reason that we're here today, obviously, is to address the new world screwworm, which is a serious threat that many of you remember. If you don't remember, your dad lived it, your mom, your granddad, your grandma, so many years ago in the 1950s and 1960s. And once again, we find it at our back door. Of course, the illegal immigration under the Biden administration allowed this to happen, the parasite spreading and breaching the Darien Gap, which I think most believed would never happen again. But it did happen, and here we are. I just want to update everybody where we have come from in the last 11 months since we really began to address this. Of course, we've suspended all live cattle, horse, and bison imports from Mexico. All the ports have been closed for months now. We launched a 5-point new world screwworm response plan in June of 2025. I believe I did that right here. We are investing up to $100 million in research and innovation, including traps, treatments, improved fly production, and development of dyed sterile flies for easier identification under UV light. We have expanded border surveillance, trapping, and USDA field staffing, including hiring additional tick riders. I'm headed over to ride with the tick riders right after this. We've doubled our tick riders as they keep moving along the border looking for the threat, and we'll continue to build that. We've trained detector dogs to identify infested animals. We have coordinated a whole of government effort, including agencies such as CBP, CDC, our disease control, CDC, EPA, environmental protection, the Department of the Interior, our State Department, our Army Corps of Engineers, the FDA, our state partners, and also Mexican authorities. I think I mentioned the last time I was here that we have monthly meetings in the White House, in the Roosevelt Room, with about 7 other cabinet members, not their designees, not their undersecretaries, but actually our cabinet members, Secretary Hegseth, et cetera, Secretary Burgum, Rubio, et cetera. And I say that only to underscore what a priority this is for the Trump administration. We have updated the emergency response plans and responder training to ensure rapid, coordinated action. And at the end of January, just I think a week ago, Governor Abbott, he'll probably talk about this, issued a statewide disaster declaration to better equip the Texas New World Screwworm response team to prevent the potential spread. We're here today to talk about the expansion of the sterile fly operations, the proven eradication tool, including currently producing right now today 100 million flies per week. We've invested over $20 million to upgrade the Matapa, Mexico facility to suppress populations at the source. That's another tens of millions. And of course, the contracting phase is now coming to conclusion. The break ground phase is very soon. I'll probably be back within a month or two for that to open up the $750 million facility that we're building here to produce our own flies in America versus depending on Panama, which is where the current major facility is. And again, I want to underscore what a big step that is. This is at a time where our administration is hyper-focused on cutting spending, on deregulation, on rolling back government, and on rolling back government programs. And I remember hearing first that this new facility, I was at a meeting at Texas A&M last spring, and they said, we really need a facility in Texas. And I said, well, how much is that going to cost? And they said, well, probably about $250 million. I said, oof, that's going to be a tough sell, but I'm going to go sell it. Well, soon that $250 million moved to $750 million. But again, this administration and this president are wholly focused and prioritizing how important this issue is. That facility, the big facility, will be open. We're already ahead of schedule by the end of next year. But in the meantime, and today while we're here, is opening a new sterile fly dispersal facility right here at Moore Air Base in South Texas. Excuse me. This facility will be a critical part of our overall efforts to combat the New World Screwworm, allowing USDA to disperse sterile flies more readily in northern Mexico and here in the southern United States. As of last week, we moved the sterile fly dispersal area, also known as the polygon, north, so we can preemptively drop sterile flies in Texas. Again, this is a first time to do that, to continue to work to stop the threat before it reaches our border. Sterile insects are the most important tool, but USDA's import requirements and protocols add another line of defense. Just last week, the importance of those protocols was highlighted when a horse from Argentina was presented at an equine import quarantine facility in Florida. Upon examination, the great USDA APHIS team there identified an open wound with larvae on the animal, promptly collected and shipped the samples to our National Veterinary Services Laboratory in Iowa, and there they confirmed within a few hours that the larvae were indeed New World Screwworm. The horse was immediately treated with medication to kill any larvae in accordance with standard import protocols and was only released after the treatment was completed. The animal was re-examined and determined to be free of screwworm. Because of this swift detection and stringent protocols, New World Screwworm did not spread into the United States. I want to reiterate that there is no New World Screwworm currently in our country. As part of our effort to keep this pest out of our nation and far from our ranches, we maintain a large network of validated traps along our border, ensuring we will find and quickly eradicate if it does come north. Every day we are finding plenty of other kinds of flies. So far we have trapped and tested 42,000 flies just here in Texas alone since June of last year. But none of them have tested to be the New World Screwworm. If the screwworm does indeed cross our border, we will immediately, within hours, notify our state and industry partners once confirmed and ensure that the general public will simultaneously activating our New World Screwworm playbook, which many of you have played such an important part in writing and updated, and we are so grateful for that. That is on our website, by the way, screwworm.gov. It's an extremely detailed plan that we are prepared to implement at a moment's notice. We will continue to provide updates on all verified reporting, interagency actions, and all other new World Screwworm resources, again, at screwworm.gov, which we launched last November. In addition, USDA, through a whole of government approach, will continue to hold Mexico accountable to mitigating the spread of this dangerous pest. As I close and as we celebrate the opening of this facility here today, under budget and ahead of time from our announcement last spring, I want to take a moment to just thank a handful of our amazing USDA staff for making this project happen, and again, at record speed and under budget and ahead of time. Gabe Lopez and Randy O'Neill were the boots on the ground. Gabe and Randy, where are y'all? A round of applause for you guys. Please wave to everybody. Thank you. Solving every problem that came your way. We're just so grateful to you, and your leadership and work and 7-day-a-week effort brought us to today. Javier Calzonzi for his guidance and oversight of the facility maintenance staff. Javier, where are you? There you are. Thank you. It's such a blessing to work with these incredible people. Jose Hinojosa for your extraordinary work leading the fabrication. Thank you. Thank you. Jose, thank you. And finally, to our project manager, Amy Spillman. Where are you, Amy? Thank you. There you are for everything. And I'm sure some of you didn't get on my list, but I see the whole team, and Javier, you and Jose and Amy and everyone. I know you're standing on their shoulders and all the work that's done every single day. So I want to thank the incredible team for getting us this far. We will never forget while we're here. We are here to preserve the greatest, the best among us, and that's our farmers and ranchers, and ensuring that America, the one that we will hand down to our children and our children's children, is the America that we were able to grow up in, one where farmers and ranchers can continue to be the best in the world, to feed and fuel and clothe our country. And without that, we will lose the taste of freedom. That's how existential I believe this effort is. And without all of the partners here, we would not be able to work towards that end. So thank you. As I mentioned, Governor Greg Abbott has been an extraordinary partner in all of this. You would think that he himself would be raising cattle and working the citrus farms, because he cares so much about this and so much about our community. But Governor, what a joy to have you as a partner, and what a joy to watch you lead our great state. So please help me welcome Governor Greg Abbott.
Thank you, Secretary Rollins. Isn't it great to have a Secretary of Agriculture from the state of Texas? Doing a great job. I have no doubt that when she took the job, one thing she was most excited about doing was to announce screwworm.org or screwworm.com, whatever it is, top of the list. But listen, a big thank you to her as well as to President Trump for this initiative. This is serious stuff that we're dealing with. And I know that the farmers and ranchers across our entire state, especially in this region, are extraordinarily concerned about the approach of the screwworm coming up through Mexico. But again, if you listen to what Secretary Rollins talked about, was a reemphasis of what President Trump has been clear about all along. And that is America is no longer going to count on other countries coming to our rescue. Instead, America is going to take care of ourselves, including dealing with the approach of the screwworm as it gets closer to our border. So thank you, President Trump, for stepping up and making America first again. We know that the state that is most in the direct path of the screwworm is the state of Texas. And that's why we as a state have taken it so serious. I'm proud that we have partners of mine in the state legislature, in both the House and Senate, that have been talking to me about it, because they've been dealing with their constituents on the front line of dealing with this issue. We have with us here today, we have Senator Hinojosa from this area. Representative Jenny Lopez, Representative Jane Lopez from this area. Stan Kissman from a rural area west of Houston. And another border as well as elsewhere, Representative Brian Guillen. They've talked to me about it. They've talked to others in the Capitol about it. They wanted to make sure that Texas was doing everything we could as a state to help respond to this, and that's exactly what we've done. Last June, I directed the Texas Animal Health Commission as well as the Texas Parks and Wildlife to establish the Texas New World Screwworm Response Team. Then in August, I partnered with the USDA as well as with Secretary Rollins to announce the $750 million domestic sterile New World Screwworm production facility in Edinburgh. And then last month, because we saw the approach getting closer and closer and closer, because we did not want to have to deal with this after it arrived here, but wanted to deal with it before it got here, I issued a statewide disaster declaration for the New World Screwworm to galvanize all of our state resources to combat the spread of the New World Screwworm fly into the state of Texas. We're doing this because of what we know it means to the beef industry here in the state of Texas. Listen, Texas ranks #1 for cattle, among other #1 rankings. And this is very important to the cattle industry, very important to the restaurant industry, to the grocery store industry, very important to families who put it on the table every night. And we wanted to make sure that we put together the resources necessary for Texas to provide a Texas-sized response to this. We also cannot be more grateful, understanding that we're going to have a long-term solution right here in this region. We knew that we needed a short-term gap-filling solution, which is exactly what we are cutting a ribbon on today. And so we thank Secretary Rollins as well as President Trump for stepping forward to provide that stopgap effort with urgent action that will be essential to protecting our ranchers and our wildlife from the screwworm making its way through Mexico. Secretary Rollins, thank you again for doing this. Look forward to cutting the ribbon with you here shortly. Yeah. Now I'm proud to introduce from the United States Congress, Tony Gazale.
First off, thank you, Governor, for all your leadership. Months ago, you put together this screwworm task force. I see my good friend Don McLaughlin, who's done great work for us in South Texas. Chairman Guillen, who's done incredible work for us. Thank you for that leadership, because Texas is not waiting. Thank you. I wake up in the greatest state, as you do. We're blessed to wake up in Texas, where we build things, we don't break things here. I'm grateful for Secretary Rollins and her leadership on finding partners on how do we bridge the federal government, state government to deliver for us, not just complain about a problem, not just throw rocks at a problem, but find a solution to problems before they get to our borders. Thank you, Secretary Rollins, for your leadership. And next, I'd like to thank USDA, the men and women at USDA. When the government was shut down, they went to work. When it was Christmas time, they went to work. When there was a new screwworm case in Tamaulipas, USDA went to work. And we're seeing here is their work is coming to fruition. We're grateful for that. Months ago, we passed the big, beautiful bill. Thank you for President Trump's leadership and getting that through in Congress. We also passed the Ag Approps bill, where there was hundreds of millions of dollars to accomplish some of the things we're doing. A lot of times in Congress, you'll write a check and you'll never see the outcome. In record time, we've seen that outcome. We're about to cut the ribbon on that now. And then lastly, I would just like to say, we started up a working group. I spent a lot of time in the military. In the military, you build working groups to solve solutions, to problems. And a lot of the men and women behind us here and the different associations were part of those working groups. Once again, we weren't just complaining about a problem. We were working to find solutions at all levels to make sure that happens. I'm grateful for all those people. Thank you, everybody, for your leadership. And for now, I'd like to turn it back over to Secretary Rollins.
Thank you, Congressman. I want to thank all the great ranchers standing behind us, Texas Farm Bureau and others, their great President Russell, and just grateful for the support. We'll take some questions from the press, then we will have the official ribbon cutting and celebrate this opening. So I'll open it up for questions. Yes, sir. Will you introduce yourself and who you represent? Great to see you, Frank. Thank you. The question was whether it's common for horses from Argentina to be imported. I think it's, I'll let Dudley if he has anything else on that. But yes, horses from all over the world are sort of imported and exported, for the different events, whether it's polo or horse jumping or whatever it could be. But we have, as I mentioned, the system worked and the protocol was deployed immediately. And that horse was treated and solved for. So we'll continue to do that. But Dudley, I don't know if you have anything else to say on the horse importation.
Never going to try to improve upon my boss's response, for the record. But no, horses are being imported every single day at port of entry. Our folks at Abbott are following the protocol. This was just another example of doing their job and job well done.
Also, pets are coming in and out. I think the last screwworm was in maybe 2017, 2018 in the Florida Keys with a dog that had come in imported. So this isn't just, we're here to talk about the agriculture implications, but it really is all livestock and animals, et cetera. Yes, sir, in the tan. Yes, the flies have already started. So as the polygon moved north, and I might let Admiral Schmoyer, if you want to give a couple other thoughts on that, exactly what that looks like, because one thing that's important is that these sterile flies that we're releasing on our side of the border are dyed, so we can tell that they are not threatening to our livestock, but understanding why they have been deployed is really important. But yes, that is currently ongoing.
Thank you for your question. So for the last year, we've been looking at the best science and best practice to determine where and when we would be able to disperse those particular flies. So looking at the epidemiology, we, as was mentioned by the Secretary earlier on, we are leaning forward. We are looking at how we can make sure that on the very best side of prevention, we can deploy flies further north than we have been up until a couple of weeks ago. So starting this week, we started moving that polygon a little further north, so it's about 50 miles over the Texas border. This particular move with a polygon is, again, leaning forward. As was mentioned, we have no data that suggests anything about sterile flies being here. There are no flies in the United States. This is us being preemptive.
Yes, sir. In the booth. I'll let Dudley speak to that a little bit more, but under the new World Screwworm playbook, yes. And the short answer is yes, and we're already working with Doug Burgum, who's our Secretary of the Interior. We've already identified where certain quarantines could be if needed. I can't underscore this enough, we have spent almost a year working to contain, push back, if possible. Of course, Mexico is got a lot of issues, but if it does come here, we also have spent the year preparing for it so that we can contain and then push back if it does hit our side. So, Dudley, more thoughts on that?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Secretary. On the playbook that the Secretary mentioned, which is on the APHIS website, that is a living, breathing document that basically articulates how USDA, in partnership with our state partners and industry partners, how we would respond, what the protocol process would be to address that potential positive infection, knock it down, knock it out, and get that facility back online and back into commerce. I just want to note about the playbook. Our partners behind us and many in the audience, some not here today, we know it's not perfect. We want to continue to refine it, to work on it. We get a lot of good feedback, some very direct, which we appreciate. But unless or until we have a positive protection in the U.S. that we have to actually action that playbook, we will continue to work to improve it, try to find ways to minimize the impact to our producers. But the quarantine part of that is what we're contemplating currently.
Answer that and then turn it back to Dudley, who thinks about this every minute of every day. So my understanding, education, decision making over the last year has been twofold. do everything we can to keep it out of America. And there are probably a lot of people in here who have disagreed with my decision to keep all of the ports closed over the last 6 months and beyond. But that goes to how important and what a priority it is to protect our ranchers and our livestock in this country while we're building the playbook. I have no doubt in the preparation. I have no doubt in my mind that if we had not kept those ports closed, that New World Screwworm would have already been here. I really, truly believe that. That gave us almost 10 months to work with Mexico to do as much as we could to keep it from hitting our shores. And Mexico was willing to do that because closing the ports is very, very harmful for their economy as well. But that's how important it was. And I believe that's why we, against every model that said it would be here last summer, how we've been able to keep it out. It's given us the time to build, to prepare, to ensure we've got ivermectin in enough quantity if it does hit our border, to understand that technology that is available. We have cameras up now, cameras in the wild game parts of South Texas that can detect through the camera, through AI, whether that is New World Screwworm. So we have tools available today that we didn't have in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s that I sincerely believe, if it does cross our border, we are ready. We know the enemy. We know how to manage it. We know how to solve for it. And we will do everything we can to protect our country. So I do not believe that, I don't want to underplay it because it is a big threat to our country. But I believe we're as prepared as we could possibly be if that happens, to deal with it, to move towards eradication. Now, the big facility that is about to start construction here will begin producing hundreds of millions of sterile flies by the end of next year. That's the $750 million facility. So we really have about a 16 to 18 to 20 month window here. This dispersal facility is really important for that. All for the first time, we're going to be dispersing from our side of the border versus relying on Panama and Matapa and other places south of Texas. We've got the ivermectin. We've got the quarantines ready. We've got the ports closed. I mean, all of the above is to prepare to keep it out. But if it's here, we're ready. So I don't know that there's any reason to panic because we've been preparing for this moment either way. Dudley, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
No, ma'am, not to add, but just to put a finer point on, the Secretary has us doing almost a 24-hour, 24/7 assessment on what the risk is, what we're seeing in Mexico, how we evaluate that in terms of whether it's port opening or reopening or consideration of the movement of cattle, bison, or horses. And every day he's asking us, where are we? And every day, based off the data and the information, our partnership with Mexico, we continue to see what is more concerning, not less concerning, just in terms of the movement of the fly and the potential impacts to the stream of commerce. So from an animal health perspective, we'll continue to make that assessment, continue to make those recommendations to the Secretary, but she's relying on us to help inform that policy decision. Beyond that, ma'am, I wouldn't want to elaborate further.
It is. There are efforts there, and certainly there are elected officials. Like, you're putting a lot of effort on Texas. What about, Arizona, New Mexico, et cetera? But here's the thing. In October, there was a New World Screwworm that was detected 80 miles from our border, from really where we're all sitting at this point, maybe a little bit further, 80 miles. Since then, we haven't had anything else get that close. The closest active case is about 200 miles away. But when you look at the ports in Arizona, that's about 850 miles away from the closest case of New World Screwworm. So where we are today and where Texas sits, we are ground zero for the effort, and we will continue to be ground zero and putting most of our efforts here. Okay, we're going to cut the ribbon, everybody. Again, I want to thank you all so much. Actually, let me introduce a couple people who have been really, really helpful. The Texas Southwest Cattle Raisers have really been our partner in this. Wayne Cockrell, Stephen Dybel, Freddie Nieto, Jason Skaggs, and Peyton Schumer. I just want to give them a quick shout out as well. I know I got the Farm Bureau, but not those guys. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, great. We're going to cut the ribbon, and we're so grateful again. Thank you all so much for being here.